Chiefs Kingdom. I thought Kansas City was done for the first day of NFL free agency, but just before 10 p.m. Central Time, the Chiefs get after it once again with two more moves, two more deals done by Brett Veach and the boys. As they stay up late tonight, they are working late, and so am I. And that, my friends, is why you hit that subscribe button. If you're not already subscribed to the Chiefs Report by Chad Sports, we are your one-stop shop for Chiefs news. We're going to break down the two moves that they made in just 1 second, but there is so much more to come, and do not miss a minute of it by subscribing. But first up, Alohi Gilman. He's a safety coming over right now from the Ravens, but before that, you probably know him more as a Los Angeles Charger. That's where he spent most of his career, divisional foe of ours for a while. So somebody here we'll break him down more in a second. Let's talk about the other move first. Tyquan Thornton also re-signed. As of right now, I have not seen details on that extension. I'm going to double check right now just to make sure they didn't come in the time. Oh, here it is. 2-year, $11 million deal with a maximum of $14 million for Tyquan Thornton. So a 2-year extension for Tyquan. He'll stick around in Kansas City for the next 2 seasons. We'll break down both of these deals right now. We'll get started with our newcomer. Welcome to Kansas City. A big warm welcome for Alohi Gilman. If you want to welcome Alohi Gilman to Kansas City with me, spam Alohi in the comments. That's spelled A-L-H-O-I. Alohi Gilman. Spam that in the comments if you want to welcome Alohi to Kansas City, our brand new safety coming down from the Baltimore Ravens and flipping sides in the AFC West after kind of being a career Charger. Let's talk about his game a little bit. He is a good deep cover safety, played well in Baltimore this season, was kind of used out of schematic, or kind of used poorly, I'll say. I'm going to stop trying to use big words that I can't properly use there. Used poorly in Los Angeles in Greg Roman's defense. I don't really think he was the best fit for that, or excuse me, in Jesse Minter's defense. I don't think he was the best fit for what Minter wants to do. Not that Minter's a bad defensive coordinator at all. I just think, sometimes you have players that don't fit with the right defensive coordinator. I think they're both talented. I think Minter's going to do a great job in Baltimore, but I think Gilman, and that's kind of why Gilman leaves at the end of the day. That's why they did not keep him around, because Minter ends up as the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. So keeping Alohi Gilman, someone who didn't work in his scheme in Los Angeles, doesn't make a lot of sense, but it does for us for a couple of reasons. Number one, our scheme, I think Alohi is a good fit for overall. And number two, we got a big need on the back end of this defense. Brian Cook just left today. I don't think it's a big surprise that Brian Cook was going to leave. We'd been talking about it on this channel that it was kind of a foregone conclusion that Brian Cook was going to go get a bag somewhere else in free agency, and we all saw that materialize today. A $13.4 million annual payday for Brian Cook with the Cincinnati Bengals. So he's gone. And now you have this hole on the back end of your defense that Alohi Gilman can step in and fill day one. I think that takes away the need to maybe draft at safety in the first round. Obviously, if Caleb Downs falls into your lap, that probably changes the math on that equation. In fact, I think it should change the math on that equation, because I think you'd probably be the best player on the board, and I'm always a big fan of taking the best player available. But I still think it makes corner a big need. You're starting to see the Kansas City Chiefs replace the pieces that they lost. We talked about this earlier today. $215 million in outgoing salary over the last 24 hours. Trent McDuffie gets his deal just over 24 hours ago with the Los Angeles Rams. Mark that down as about $120+ million in outgoing salary. And it's actually more than that, because that doesn't even factor in Josh Williams' deal. Totally forgot to even mention that. He signed with the Tennessee Titans quite recently as well. So he is also out of the picture for this Chiefs secondary. So there's going to be a lot of new faces next season. Some of the only returning guys, Christian Fulton, Noel Williams, guys that played serious snaps last season that are coming back this year on the back end. Jaden Hicks as well at safety. But Alohi Gilman joins the fold, joins the club, in a rebuilding club, a club that is not done adding pieces to its membership at this point. I think you're going to see that in the draft primarily. I think the Kansas City Chiefs do not want to spend, and then again, the deal for Alohi Gilman, I don't even know if I've said the numbers on it. This is my bad. Sorry, it's late, guys. I've been going all day long. $24 million over 3 years with $17 million guaranteed at signing for Alohi Gilman. So significant guarantees there, but just $8 million per year for Gilman. And I think that's where you got to really look at things, right? Like Brian Cook gets $13.4 million annually. Alohi gets $8 million. And there, I think in that $5 million difference is the Kansas City Chiefs' strategy for team building kind of revealed. Where can we save $5, $6, $4, $3 million at a position by moving on to a cheaper option, by moving on to a rookie, so that we can spend that money on the positions that we feel matter most to our roster? Offensive line, our quarterback. You know what I mean? That's what we've seen Kansas receiving options for him. Travis Kelce, obviously coming back today as well. That is what we have seen Brett Veach and the Kansas City Chiefs choose to invest their money in. Speaking of which, we are going to break down the new contract, the extension for Tyquan Thornton in 1 second here on the Chiefs Report by Chat Sports. But before we do, we've got to give a shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that is Prize Picks. Guys, shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right, Prize Picks is now giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. So don't miss this chance to get started on America's #1 app for sports picks. Prize Picks is simple to play, guys. Just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you could cash in. Pick from all your favorite sports. Anything from basketball, baseball, hockey, UFC, soccer, college basketball, tennis, golf, esports, and more. I've got my lineup going for tonight's basketball action. I'm going with the more on Kyle Filipowski's points. I'm going with the more on Kawhi Leonard's points. And I'm also going with the more on Reed Shepherd's points. So you can join me and millions of users and sign up for America's #1 sports picks app. Download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Indeed, it is. Absolutely. And the extension for Tyquan Thornton, the re-signing for Tyquan Thornton, which we just got the details in on. Sorry, that's why I'm kind of composing my thoughts here, because I had this all scripted together with no details for this contract. But it's a 2-year, $11 million deal, max out at 14. Would be interesting to know where those incentives are going to come in. But head math real quick, that's $5.5 million per year. That's pretty good money for what I think Tyquan Thornton can be in this offense. I think it's about right for what he was in this offense, especially when you see some of the money that a lot of the other receivers have already gotten, and especially when you see the money some of the receivers tomorrow are going to get, in my opinion. You're going to be like, whoa, we got Tyquan Thornton for that much? It's pretty good savings. I may not feel that way right now, but I think it will materialize that way. And with it being maxed out at $7 million annually in value, even if he does hit all of these incentive points, I think this is a really good potential signing for the Kansas City Chiefs here. Again, Tyquan Thornton is not going to take over this receiving room, but we saw last season he has really good chemistry with Patrick Mahomes. The deep threat utility that he has is, and I don't say this lightly, it is better than Xavier Worthy's. He has better deep threat chemistry with Patrick Mahomes than Xavier Worthy. He is not as fast as Xavier Worthy is in a straight line. Obviously, Worthy is the fastest 40 time ever, but you cannot deny the production was better with Tyquan Thornton in the lineup than it was with Xavier Worthy. I know people don't want to hear that. I know Xavier Worthy is the first round draft pick, but I think this signing is seriously concerning if you are Xavier Worthy. You want to play this role. This is the role you were drafted to play. What they've now just re-signed Tyquan Thornton to play. Can you step up and prove it and keep Tyquan Thornton out of the picture? Can these two find a way to work together? I would love to see that at its best, but I do think this is concerning if you're Xavier Worthy. I think this is a re-signing that puts a lot of pressure on him to perform here and now, and kind of shows that the team doesn't have a lot of faith that he can immediately step up and do this on their timeline, obviously wanting to get back to being competitive as soon as humanly possible, and therefore they are going to keep Tyquan Thornton, someone who did show on the field last season. I've got that chemistry with Patrick Mahomes already. I can be that productive down the field deep threat for this offense. So I like it overall. I like the idea of putting pressure on Xavier Worthy. I like the idea of keeping Tyquan Thornton for all the reasons I just laid out. I think he was very productive for us when he was on the field. And I think the money here is right. I think there's a good chance that after a breakout season from Tyquan Thornton in 2026, we look back on this deal and go, bam, that was a just steal, an absolute steal. I really think Thornton's a great player. He's someone I was really rooting for this year, and he kind of showed in the opportunities that he was given that he deserved more. They didn't materialize down the stretch this season for reasons which I cannot explain, but I do think he earned more opportunities, and I think this re-signing, proves that the Kansas City Chiefs agree to some degree, that they want to keep this guy around, that they want to give him more opportunities in the offense, that they want to at least have him there as an option. It's a good sign for Tyquan Thornton. It's a good sign for this offense in general, I think. All right, I want you to grade both of these extensions in the comments for me. Grade the deal not both extensions. I want you to grade the re-signing of Tyquan Thornton, and I want you to grade the signing of Alohi Gilman. Give me 2 grades in the comment section. Say AG for Gilman and TT for Tyquan Thornton so I know who you are grading, and I'll be responding in the comment section as always. Thank you guys for hanging out on today's episode, and let's go Kansas City Chiefs.